Hey, ladies, how are you?
Thank you very much. Oh, you see, good old America. They hate ladies. Steve, I must ask you just first of all, just about the Sadiq Khan, to and fro, Donald Trump. Sadiq Khan, our London mayor, says Donald Trump lives, that he lives rent-free in Donald Trump's head, but it seems to work both ways, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think that we have to get back to the not to the personalities, but to the policies. And I don't think anybody can really argue effectively that Sadiq.
Oh, Steve Gill, you sound like you sound like a bot has got in. Steve, my darling, could you start again because we've got a bit of a bot there. It was all a bit. It sounded like a robot was talking. Carry on.
Yeah, I think that you've got to get back to the policies rather than the personalities, because I don't think Sadiq Khan can argue effectively that London is safer, more prosperous or better. So he's having to come with the anti-Trump rhetoric to defend the fact that he can't run a city.
Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely true. He really can't run a city. He once came up to me at a party conference and said, "Why are you always criticising me on Twitter?" And I'm one of the few people able to reply to his tweets because he always has a block on, because he follows me. And I just stood there and went, this. I literally listened. I think I was at number 9 when he went, "Oh, all right," and walked away. And I said, well, you asked me why. I don't have anything personal. Do you think a lot of this is personal, though, and that this is what Sadiq Khan is claiming, Sir Sadiq Khan, that he's racist, sexist, misogynistic, Islamophobic, and saying this is about, and he's got an issue, basically, with a Muslim mayor?
Well, I think, though, that when you're looking at what the Muslim mayor has done, it is not to make London, better as a multicultural city.
Is it relevant? Is it right for Sadiq Khan to claim that it's because he's Muslim? Is it relevant at all to Donald Trump, do you think?
Well, I think if it's Sadiq Khan's policies that are based upon the fact that he is promoting Islam ahead of what's best for London, then I think that is a legitimate question about what he's doing. I think when you look at the people that are allowed into London, that are allowed into England, the illegals that are coming in. Well, he's not in charge. I
mean, Sadiq Khan's not in charge of immigration policy.
Right, but when you're doing things in the city, sort of what we've seen in our big cities in the States, where you are rewarding illegal immigrants with housing and with benefits and things like that, you are playing in the illegal immigration role by what you're doing to embrace them, welcome them, and bring down the culture of London by embracing a culture that is not the culture of England, the culture of London. And again, as we both know, there are many places you cannot go in London today if you do not fit the profile that Donald Trump was criticizing.
This is true. This is absolutely true. I mean, that's anyone claiming that's not the case hasn't been paying attention. Let's talk about a bit more of what he had to say in terms of telling the UN about your country is going to hell, to Europe. Let's have a little watch and a listen of what Donald Trump had to say in his very lengthy speech in relation, in particular, to migration.
When your prisons are filled with so-called asylum seekers who repaid kindness, and that's what they did. They repaid kindness with crime. It's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. See, I can tell you. I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell. Any system that results in the mass trafficking of children is inherently evil. Yet that is exactly what the globalist migration agenda has done, and it's what it's all about.
I mean, these were very strong words, and I think an awful lot of Europeans, we've seen in the voting in general elections and indeed in the polls right now in the UK, a lot of people saying, yeah, we're kind of done with this. We are not happy with it. But are we going to hell, and is there a globalist agenda?
Yeah, I think when you look at not just the UK, you look at the voting patterns you're seeing in Italy, that you're seeing in Germany with AfD on the rise. I mean, he is right. I mean, Macron's government has collapsed. So the populism that is a rejection of kind of the flood of illegal immigrants that are continuing to come across, the boats into England. The people are feeling it, and it's the leaders who are not, and certainly the leaders in the United Nations are as distant from the people in their countries as you could possibly be. It was harsh talk, but it was truth. And I think sometimes harsh truth is not well received by those who have made the policies that hurt things.
Well, he said a lot of harsh truths to the European leaders over the years, and I think he's been right about all of them. Certainly things like NATO leaders in Europe not paying their way and things like that. It was right. I think he said it in 2018 in his first term in office. He was right then, much castigated, talking about various different threats, and he was right about all of it. There's no doubt at all. He also criticised net zero, in particular, a dig at the government here and the solar panels and the windmills, he calls them, blighting our beautiful countryside in both England and Scotland. I couldn't agree with him more on that. I wince every single time I go past a wind turbine. And he talks about how, you know, in terms of we are basically, you know, this failed experiment in open borders, but also how we're killing our economies with net zero. We had a guest on earlier pointing out on the left, he's from the left, basically saying, look, you know, it's easy for America. You've got all these massive natural resources. You've got all this space for your fracking. You've got the oil and the gas. You're the biggest net exporter of gas and oil now in the world. All right for you, but actually Europe, you know, like especially like Britain, you know, we're a much smaller country. We haven't got all the space and we haven't got the natural resources. Easy for you to say. What would you say to that?
You can buy it from us. You know, we see that some of these environmental policies don't work. Again, if they were effective, you know, the windmills, the solar, those things that we have pushed down our throats here from time to time, if they worked, you wouldn't have to subsidize them.
Yeah,
they would be competitive economically. They are not.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've been making this point to people with I'm blue in the face for quite some time. He also had some interesting things to say about defence policy, in particular about, you know, Russian jets entering NATO airspace, as they've done on numerous occasions now recently, you know, or a number of occasions, Poland and Estonia and elsewhere, and basically saying, yeah, if a Russian jet goes into NATO territory, you should be shot down. Why is this not already happening? That's what I want to know.
Well, because some of these incursions into territory haven't happened. I mean, Estonia had these claims that Russian jets were flying over Tallinn for 12 minutes when in the results came out, no, they were flying in the Baltic offshore, 3 miles offshore. That's not the truth. And I think some of the hysteria that's being promoted with untruths, yeah, start shooting Russian jets or anybody else's jets when they're flying over open international waters, and you are provoking a war. And Estonia doesn't even have any jets, so I'm not sure how they're going to fight an air war when they don't even have any airplanes. So again, I don't know why there was this provocative effort of let's drive us further towards war by shooting down jets in open territory that are not incurring into NATO territories.
Well, we certainly know with Poland, there's 100% that it was over their territory. You know, again, there's some question marks about who claims what, whether they were over international waters or not, but we know what happened when Russian jets left Syria and went to Turkish airspace. They were shot down within seconds. Never did it again. There's no question at all. The Kremlin doesn't do this by accident. They know perfectly well what they're doing. They're testing the waters, and NATO is supremely failing that test.
Yeah, and again, I think you need to look at some of the rhetoric and some of the reality. And if they fly over London, yeah, shoot them down. If they're flying over international waters, you know, again, who's going to shoot them down?
They regularly fly over international waters. Russian jets are constantly going down the channel, but we don't shoot them down then. We might send up fighter jets to sort of go alongside them. But, you know, should we wait until they fly over London?
Well, we have the same sort of thing that happens in the Bering Strait between the U.S. and Russia.
Yeah.
Again, their bombers come towards us. We put fighter jets up. My dad was a fighter pilot for 22 years, so this has been going on, you know, my entire lifetime since I think we got from the Wright brothers and started having jets.
Let's also talk about Ukraine, because Donald Trump told Ukraine that, you know, you could take back all your land and then go further. I don't really meant by that, but this is very, very different from only a month ago or so when he was basically saying, you know, for all intents and purposes, Ukraine, well, forget about Crimea, long gone 2014, but also the Donbass region as well. And there wasn't even a proper guarantee on offer that Russia would stop Russia from taking any further land. He's obviously losing patience with Vladimir Putin, and he made a lot of remarks about how, you know, well, you know, I thought this was someone I could work with, but, you know, obviously not. Certainly President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine had a spring in his step when he spoke to reporters yesterday after meeting with Donald Trump. Does this suggest there's going to be a big change, perhaps even a U-turn in policy in terms of backing Ukraine, or are we going to be back to the same old where you're willing to sell weaponry to the EU members, so the European members of NATO, and they give it to Ukraine, but there won't be any extra funding or any extra direct military hardware given to Ukraine to fight that Russian invasion?
I think the problem with President Trump's statements on Russia and Ukraine these days are they are so inconsistent. He says one thing one day, he flip-flops the next day, and then he's back the next day. It does seem, you know, Julian, it concerns me that it's whoever talks to him last becomes what comes out of his mouth. And we prefer in international affairs some degree of stability, some degree of predictability. And some say, oh, well, he's doing this because being unpredictable is the way he negotiates. Ukraine can't take that territory back. They don't have the manpower, they don't have the people, they don't have the weapons to even take back, much less stop the incursions that Russia is continuing. Who is going to take back that territory in Crimea, and in the Donbass? Are British troops ready to go in? Are they willing
No,
to
the
sacrifice
Ukrainians have
their
been
lives?
very clear that they don't expect anyone else to spill their blood. But they do have the manpower. But what they need is more of the armaments. They need some of that high-tech equipment that America has. They need the funding to do it.
When Poland opened their borders a few weeks ago, 11,000 military-aged men flew, and they're now conscripting people who are above the age of 60. They're going lower with their ages.
Yeah.
They do not have the manpower to fight it. There were just exchanges of dead bodies, and there were 1,000 Ukrainian bodies returned. There were 24 Russians. If they want to fight till the last
that's
Ukrainian,
very unusual.
they can do that.
Far more Russians have died. Far more Russian casualties than there have been.
Says who? Says the Ukrainian propaganda.
No,
Says
even
the
according to
Ukrainian
internal
propaganda.
Russian documents that have been leaked. For goodness sake, Steve Gill. For goodness sake.
And the millions of Ukrainians, according to the leaks from the Ukrainian documents.
Millions of Ukrainians have not been killed. Not even a million have been killed.
Ukrainian. It's the same leaks that have revealed that.
No, they haven't. No. Donald Trump, guess he's witted on about this. This is untrue as well. When we talk about over 1 million casualties, that includes people who've been wounded. The number of deaths on the Russian side is far greater.
It's just, again, the propaganda of Ukraine. Julia, these are the same people that told us a ghost of Kiev was shooting down 12 Russian aircraft in one day. That was a lie. You cannot believe the propaganda that comes from either side.
I don't believe anyone's propaganda. There are people who are providing proper analysis, who are independent sources, who are able to put this stuff together. Steve, we're going to leave it there only because time is against us. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Steve Gill, former advisor to Clinton and Bush administrations. Well, many Americans, it's interesting, who are just... I do not understand why America doesn't get how significant the attack on Ukraine is and how that needs to be fought. It blows my mind still.
I think it's because it is so incredibly far away from them that they just don't get it.
Well, so's Taiwan, and they're gonna face that threat next.
Oh, they've got good history in that area, don't they, in that region? But I think they just don't understand Ukraine. They don't understand the threat of Russia into Europe like we do.
Here we are. What do you make of the Sadiq? Go back to Sadiq Khan, because actually we literally just got to get a clip of what Sadiq Khan had to say about Donald Trump's attack on him, and this is what Sadiq Khan has had to say today about Donald Trump.
What it is about this Muslim mayor who leads a liberal, multicultural, progressive, successful city that means I appear to be living rent-free inside Donald Trump's head. President Trump has shown he is racist, he is sexist, he is misogynistic, and he's Islamophobic.
What I can't get over that. If you were watching that Sadiq Khan, it's a Paul clip sitting on a bus. I don't know what he's doing on a bus. He has a chauffeur-driven car all the time because apparently he reckons he's got lots of threats to his safety. And and I believe that there would be. But again, I don't know why he's suddenly on a bus all of a sudden, because he definitely doesn't travel by public transport most of the time.
He doesn't. He was on the top deck, probably at the front, pretending to be the bus driver.
Probably on an empty, on a booster seat. Sorry, we're being terrible. But his hit back, again, I think it's all rather demeaning to both men.
It is.
I think it's demeaning to America when Donald Trump has attacks on him like that. I don't think it's Donald Trump's business to be attacking this man. I think he'd be much better just totally ignoring him. And if he literally said, I don't know, he pretended not to know Peter Manson, he's met him, I don't know who he is, I don't know who you're talking about, that would genuinely would hurt Sadiq Khan more. Sadiq Khan's and he loves it and he plays the victim and everything. But, he's saying, look, what is it about wondering about this Muslim mayor? This is now... Let's have a debate about whether or not Sadiq Khan is a good mayor or not of London. I would say he is not. He keeps getting re-elected. We have democratic elections. That's the deal.
Yeah.
I voted for him first time round, mainly because the Tories ran a racist campaign, and I will not vote for any campaign that is racist. I will not do it. Also, it was Zach Goldsmith, who's just some little rich kid, green. No, thank you. Not voting for you either on that. There were two good reasons to vote for Sadiq that time. So I haven't got any issue with the colour of his skin or his religion. Don't care. Not interested. He is, however, a terrible mayor. But why do we even have to bring in anything to do with his skin colour or his religion anyway?
You shouldn't.
Why is it relevant?
It isn't relevant. You have to look at, is that person doing a good job? The answer to that is no.
Unless those things are relevant to it. I mean, I do think he's a bit obsessed with diversity and multiculturalism in a way that, frankly, the rest of us would rather you just didn't care about that. You just got on with the job.
But that isn't building houses and getting the tube and bus system working, is it?
Yeah, how about
affect
diversity in building houses and getting the buses working and dealing with crime?
Yeah, it doesn't fit into it, so you can't shoehorn that in. So I think anything to do with ethnicity, and even if he was a woman, it wouldn't have anything to do with gender either.
No.
If that person is no good, you should be able to tell them that.
Yeah, exactly. Without it being,
It's not an
exactly.
issue.
The only thing we've been on this show is sizist.
Yes, we have.
That's
we have to hold our hands
That's probably
up,
not
haven't we?
allowed either. Feel free to
well.
send your complaints in. But anyway, 12:24 is the time. We're going to take a quick break. Up next, we're going to be talking about one of the other things that Donald Trump had to say, which was about net zero ruining our country. It was basically a suicidal mission by European countries to push net zero. And he's right about that as well.